Me now is Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent. Mr. Secretary, great to see you tonight. There are a lot of Republicans who are thrilled about the extension of the tax cuts, but have some reservations about spending. You've seen them. Your message to them tonight.
Laura, good to be with you. And look, this is the signature piece of President Trump's domestic agenda. This is more than a tax bill because it also includes border, it includes defense, it includes school choice. And I just had a meeting with some of the House Democrats, the Freedom Caucus, and I can tell you that group should be so proud of themselves. They have changed the center of gravity in the debate. We are going to start paying down debt. We're going to grow the economy, and they were big contributors to this. So I believe that at the end of the day, they will be there for President Trump and give Speaker Johnson the ability to move this bill to the president's desk for signing this Friday.
Now, I know the bill, Mr. Secretary, includes a lot of money for immigration enforcement, a big priority of the president's, specifically at the border. Will any of that money be used to speed up the deportations that, they're impressive, but 200,000+ is still a drop in the bucket when we have about 30 million people here illegally?
Well, Laura, that's a great question, and it's important to get this bill on the president's desk because we have been tight on funding. Kristi Noem has done a fantastic job at DHS along with Tom Homan. They have apprehended the thousands of criminals, but in terms of the overall deportation, it is important to get this funding, and once we get the higher level of funding, then we'll be able to move on to the next level.
And your favorite topic, Elon Musk, he is beyond furious about this legislation, said it's basically a betrayal of what he thought the administration stood for, focused a lot on spending, deficits and so forth. And he said he's going to fund the primarying of anyone who voted for this, who claimed to be a Republican who believed in fiscal restraint. Your reaction to what Musk has been posting for the last few days about this?
Well, as I said earlier this morning, I think if Elon sticks to rockets, I'll stick to finance. And, I am confident that this bill is going to pay down the debt. And there were 50 senators who weren't threatened by his words. And Vice President Vance stepped in. They broke the tie in the Senate. And now we're moving into the House, and President Trump has shown incredible leadership on this, and in conjunction with Leader Thune, Speaker Johnson, I think that they're going to hold the majorities together and push this forward.
So you're not worried about Musk's threat to primary people with all the money he has?
I think that everyone is with President Trump, and that it's his leadership that's going to move this forward more than anybody's checkbook.
And Mr. Secretary, the Fed chair made a very interesting and frankly stunning admission today. Watch this.
Would the Fed have cut more by now if it weren't for the tariffs?
I think that's right. In effect, we went on hold when we saw the size of the tariffs and essentially all inflation forecasts for the United States went up materially as a consequence of the tariffs. So we didn't overreact. In fact, we didn't react at all. We're simply taking some time. As long as the U.S. economy is in solid shape, we think the prudent thing to do is to wait and learn more and see what those effects might be. And again, they haven't really shown up. For now, we're waiting.
Mr. Secretary, Powell hates the tariffs. That's clear. And he said it's the best approach. Just be prudent and patient. Your reaction tonight?
Well, Laura, I can tell you that the overall Fed board has had two reactions to the tariffs, and it's a little bewildering to me why this wouldn't have pushed them more towards a cut or has put them on hold, because the Fed publishes something called the Summary of Economic Projections. They raise their inflation forecast, and my hunch is that's going to be wrong, but they lowered their growth forecast. So if you're lowering growth forecast, then why wouldn't you proceed? We saw I'm just basing Fed behavior on past behavior, and we got a 50 basis point cut last September, and inflation was higher, and core inflation was much higher. So I don't know. I guess this tariff derangement syndrome happens even over at the Fed.
A different type of TDS. And the president was asked about the Fed chair and his future. This is what he said.
Do you intend to announce your pick for successor to Jay Powell earlier than say, or as early as, say, this summer or this fall?
Will I do something about who it's going to be?
Yes.
Anybody would be better than Jay Powell. No, he's causing us a fortune because he keeps the rate way up. I think it's Trump derangement syndrome personally, but you know.
Well, he said it's Trump derangement syndrome, but it seems like the old financial establishment, Mr. Secretary, they all pretty much despise tariffs. But they have to admit that the tariffs have not stoked inflation. I mean, the prominent economists have noted that, and they've noted that Trump kind of has gotten one over, that's what they said, on everybody. But it's just common sense. So, again, is this a political move, or is this truly based in solid and sound economics that we see from the Fed chair?
Well, Laura, let's just look at what the market's saying. The market had the fastest recovery from a 15% decline in history. After the bottom, shortly after Liberation Day, there was a complete panic by, as you said, the financial establishment. Anyone who sold then got left out. We had this tremendous rally. S&P, Dow NASDAQ are doing well on the year. And the bond market, which everyone says it should panic over inflation or the tariffs, the 10-year bond had the best return that it's had in 5 years. So bond market's doing well, stock market's doing well. Yeah, I will take the market-based indicators over the so-called experts all the time. That's how I made my 35-year career, was listening to the market.
Do you think Powell will lower rates by the fall, as it looks like Goldman Sachs is even beginning to recommend from their latest recommendations?
Look, I think that the criteria is that tariffs were not inflationary. If they're going to follow that criteria, I think that they could do it sooner than then, but certainly by September. But again, I don't agree with their criteria, but if you're following that criteria, sure, why not the fall?
All right, Mr. Secretary, have a wonderful Independence Day. Thank you very much.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.